Big vision, not small mind.
So
And
I put a
that's just
telescope in on top with the with the on the moon, the Montreal Canadian logo.
yeah, that's appropriate. I got the quote. That's a direct quote from Martin St. Louis' conference today. When I guess it's sort of they were looking for a reaction after the Monahan trade, and they said, it's tough to lose a player of Monahan's caliber, not just as a player, but what he offered the team on and off the ice in terms of leadership, in terms of mentorship. And, he has the reporter had a great point there, but I thought Martin St. Louis had a better answer.
To me, it's having a big vision, not a small mind. Big difference. They're not. They're not easy news for any players to see a player like Monty leave. Like I said, he's a well-liked guy. These young guys that have seen him for a couple of years now, that's not lost because he's gone. He's had a chance to impact some of these young players, and it's a big reason why we brought him in. But it's it's big picture stuff that you have to keep reminding the guys, and that's what we're going to do. You just keep going. And I think we have a great opportunity here to keep going collectively, like keep improving our collective play. So their conversation but they have feelings. It's normal. They care about the individual probably more than they do about the players. So it's an unfortunate part of professional sport, especially team sports, but it's part of it.
And he said it's, you really have to look at and remind the players that they have to have a bigger vision. And that's what they need to see, and not to have a small mind and think of the things that are lost right now. And he also, as he put it, he said all the good that he's done for the team, and especially some of the players, that's not lost just because he got traded. I mean, those are things that over the 2 years that he's been here, these players benefited from, they fed off of, and they'll carry that on in their own careers moving forward. And it's about moving all these pieces and not just looking at them one by one, but you have to look at the totality of it down the road. And the bigger picture is to create, like I said, a team that will be extremely competitive in the future, and will sustain itself for many years. You don't want to be in a position where you're out of the playoffs as many years as they have, or be stuck in the middle of that no man land that we always talk about, where they're bubble teams going in or out of the playoffs. It's not a healthy recipe for sustaining success. So I thought that was a great quote that Martin St. Louis came up with. It kind of reminded me of the analogy I gave one day when I said, you're a professional, you're playing a game of chess, and chess is a game that you think 3, 4 steps ahead all the time. And just because you start the game and you move the pawn one space forward or 2 spaces forward, you can't have people looking at it and saying, "Wow, what kind of a move was that? That doesn't fit our plans, and that doesn't look good, and it makes us a weaker team." You have to anticipate. There's a lot more to the whole puzzle than just 2 or 3 pieces right now, and they make more sense when we see it all coming together at the end. And that's when we fall back and say, what a great move that was. Or sometimes maybe not. Like, sometimes they don't turn out to be great moves, but I have a lot of trust in this particular management, and I think that they'll take us in the right direction.
I hope so too.
Uh, you're right about that, for sure. About the big vision, I think when you talk, I was thinking about, all right, Martin Louis' job is coaching, so he has a roster of 23 players, and he would do the best he can to make that team the best they can be, they can play. every single game. That's only he can control. That's the only thing he can do, right? At the flip side, he understands too. The management have a job to do. Is the management have to
Yeah.
do is to bring the best roster he can give to Martin Saint Louis. During the time, they have to do other things to rebuild the right way and populate the right things. So for them, for Martin Saint Louis, is to be patient and to understand the vision of what the Montreal Canadiens, the staff management, want to accomplish during those time, the lapse of the time they would take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, all depend how many years they want to do it. But Martin Saint Louis, that's one thing he can do, and then that's the kind of vision they are looking about that. Martin Saint Louis have only one line, right? He had to move on, always forward. That's one thing he do. Like whatever they trade the players, whatever health injury players, he don't think more at I have to move on. The league don't want to stop us to play tomorrow. They have to move forward and they have to move on. So Martin Saint Louis is really aboard about that situation. He understands the business behind that, right? Open the door, Mr. Nata. This is my headlines of the day. And I see a picture of David Rebacker, but it's not only him I'm talking about. They open the door, going to get Rebacker, Angstrom, Hudson, I think the next couple of weeks, join the Montreal Canadiens or the Laval Rocket. And I want to give a little bit more open the door. They opened the door to Brandon Gignac yesterday. They opened the door for maybe other rookies and Montreal with the Laval Rocket could call up. I think we're going to talk about it in the next couple of minutes, but I don't think so. Montreal is over yet on the traded line. You're going to have more modification or more change, right? So when you're going to maybe send, I'll just give you an example, like maybe Pearson and maybe a defenseman, maybe a goaltender, but they open the door for other players who can step up. I think Enement could be a call up, maybe the return of Justin Barron. Who knows? I don't know yet. But I think for me, it's very important to open the door and not to only go with the veterans. So open the door is not only for the new players, but also for the player are already in. But they're still in the closet, Mr. Tap. So there's still the time now to open the door for them to give maybe more opportunities. Try new area of their game. Give me a chance, like example, like Caden Cody, maybe on power play. That's an example I just mentioned to you. It could be other players to step up, other facet of the game. And I think this is the way to do that. Last year, they got David Rebecca. We don't know what it would be the outcome of that. Year number 3, this is really where it's starting now to get really serious, where you need to build something they don't have in the future. And they have to select a solid forward if they are in a possibility to get them as an tap to get lower. That will give maybe a chance to maybe celebrate maybe out. That would be maybe Demidov. It could be Langstrom with there. Catton if they want to
Yeah.
go there over a defenseman. Elzerman could be dropped there. I don't know he'll be in the top 5 or not. But again, this is a pick they cannot mess up. Does it make sense? Like they cannot go and say, you know what? Maybe in 5 years was not expected. This is a really important selection today about that and open the door, conclude with that. That pick could be already an open door for the new players like Sarkozy came in NHL last year. It could happen the same thing with the new players, Langstrom or Catton. I don't know if there will be enough to play with the Montreal, but this is the time right now to open the door, Mr. Tap. So I don't know if you have to add something else.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. It's an important year again. They're in a position where they're going to choose the best player available. So depending on where they finish, again, I would say don't be too alarmed if it ends up being a defenseman. Again, that's not necessarily what their need is, but they can use these pieces afterwards to get themselves an elite player who is already established, maybe in the NHL for 2, 3, 4 years that they've been around. So it's important. And when you look at the top 10 this year, Coach, I think the top 10 players this year, it's going to be one of the stronger years in the last 3 years in my eyes. I know last year you had the top 3 or 4 players, and then it kind of whittled down a little bit after that in terms of the talent level. But this year, I think the first 10 picks, you pretty much can't go wrong. It would take a major fall from any one of these guys to not work out in the NHL in my eyes. So it's going to be something that they're going to add on to. They're going to have a lot of pieces to work with. They're going to look at RFAs when the time is right, UFAs, sorry, and they're not going to be gun shy when it comes to making trades. As you said, Coach, like you're opening the door. Like now, at what is he, 26 years of age, Gignac? Like this is his opportunity. He knows he's here for the remaining 32 games for sure, maybe more if things go well. This is his chance now to show what he's got and make a case for himself to stick with the team in the future. Yeah, I think that's the case. And I'm really excited, to be honest with you, Coach, like in terms of what Gignac brings to the table. I mean, you got a guy that has great speed, and his desire and compete level is off the charts. Like, let's watch this guy over the next 30. You're going to see. Remember how pleased we were with RHP last year and his level of compete? Well, I think Gignac's even above that. And I think if he could just maintain it, we're going to see a very good player on our team.
Thank you to watching another Habs Nation video. But before we leave, we invite you, don't forget to click on the like, subscribe to the channel, and finally let us a comment about this video. And remember, you have greatness inside of you, and we wishes you an amazing, great, and blessing day.